Dream of Jeannie theme song. Keep up the great work, guys. Andres Herrera. Now, here's the clip from Ballot or the Bullet. And here's the I Dream of Jeannie clip. I can see where you're getting at. There's a little bit of similarity in tone, and the two songs are different, though, so it's sort of disguised well enough. But one is light and poppy, the other one's a hard rocker, but I know what you're getting at, because there's similar chords there, just played differently. Dave, do you see any similarities between these two?
I never thought about it, but once he said it, I'm like, oh, yeah, there is, yeah, I see that. I see that.
It's interesting. It's interesting. On to number 7, and we are moving like lightning just the way Dave likes it. Number 7 is Brad Cazzo, and he says here, Dear Daves, I love the podcast, and I'm okay with not getting any new Van Halen albums, but instead would like to see some deluxe editions of old albums. All Dave albums have been remastered, but the Sammy era needs the treatment as well. I hate that my 5150 and OU812 albums sound so low. Can Eddie take some cues from Jimmy Page, Def Leppard, or Metallica, all who have released deluxe editions of albums with rarities and live recordings? Let's re-release those old albums and throw some cuts from either outtakes or live songs. Doesn't have to be the whole live show, just some choice, great sounding ones. We all know they're out there. We would love your guys' take on that. Keep the VH flag waving. Brad Cazzo. Well, Brad, again, preaching to the choir here. We totally agree. The Dave catalog has been done, but not the right way. The sound is great on the songs, but we need extras. There's an alternative take of Eruption, we know. There's a full jam of Growth from Women and Children First. There's demos from the Gene Simmons era left over. There's In the Midnight Hour cover that was left over in 1984. There's live tracks on each of the tours for sure. They need to be added on to the Dave era stuff and re-released. As far as the Sammy stuff, that needs a complete remixing and overhaul for 5150. I know they have I Want Some Action there. That could be added on there, and possibly crossing over fully on there for balance. And hell, remaster Van Halen 3 while you're at it, and add That's Why I Love You, plus the unreleased live album from Pittsburgh. That is definitely needed. However, unfortunately, I don't know if it'll ever see the light of day, because Eddie doesn't want anything to do with the Sammy era right now, and I think it would take the record company to step in and override him, but I don't know if they have the power to do that without his approval or what the situation is. What do you think, Dave?
I think if they had the power to do it, they would have done it by now. So I don't think they do. And if you're really hungry for halfway decent sounding Sammy era Van Halen albums, you want to get the Japanese version of the albums. But you have to be careful, because they're not clearly labeled as remastered.
Right.
So you really have to do your homework and make sure that you are getting the remastered versions of the albums.
Right.
And they do sound better.
Right.
And it'll get you through. But like we've moaned and groaned and complained about in the past before on various podcast episodes, Eddie, and I say Eddie because I don't even know if it's anybody else in the band, but Eddie and or the band, they just don't think that way. They don't think about bonus tracks. They don't think about
anything,
any of the stuff you listed. It's just not in their mindset.
Right.
And like we've said before, unfortunately, I really think it's going to take somebody in the band passing away, and then other people get control of the catalog, and that's when the stuff starts coming out.
Right. That's true. That's absolutely true. And we are on to letter number 8. And this comes from Eric Torbeck. And he says, Hey guys, I hope you're enjoying the monthly What Ifs. So here we go with this month's.
Oh, man.
That's right. Back before the days of file sharing in YouTube, I always wanted good, clean versions of Sammy songs Van Halen performed live. So, what if the band recorded a studio release of Sammy solo songs? Besides the obvious ones like I Can't Drive, 55, One Way to Rock, and Rock Candy, which the band played numerous times, what other Sammy songs would you have liked to hear Van Halen do? Legal issues aside, of course, and I would love to hear Ed on heavy metal and I Don't Need Love. What do you think? Well, I think it's time for another episode of What If? Now it's time for What If with Dave and Dave. Shit, what if? What if? Dave Marconi's favorite segment, What If? What if, motherfucker?
I don't do what ifs.
And here we go, Eric. Well, I have compiled an entire Sammy album for Van Halen to record. And I'm going to tell you, just for you, Eric, right here, because you love to stick it to Dave. And so I'm going to give it to you right here. And we're going to start with Babies on Fire, Two Sides of Love, I Don't Need Love, Love or Money, Plain Jane, Bad Motor Scooter, Red, Rock and Roll Weekend, Three Lockbox, Your Love Is Driving Me Crazy, 20th Century Man, and Dave's favorite Sammy song of all time, because it reminds him of his own life, Dick in the Dirt. What about you, Dave? You have any suggestions?
No, I have none.
No.
Because I think Van Halen recording Sammy solo songs for a studio purpose is a monumental waste of time.
Oh.
Sorry, I just do. I think, a live song here and there is fine. But honestly, I think it's a waste of the band's talents to be doing that.
That's all, folks.
Well, we are on to letter number 9, and we have a letter from Shannon the Dude, and he says, I've long had a theory that anyone could front Van Halen and it would sound fine. However, I'm sure you saw the news desk posted some live 1984 cuts, and wow, between that and Tokyo Dome, I think the only person who doesn't sound good fronting Van Halen live is Dave. Now, I don't want to start a war, and of course understand that the six-pack is peak Van Halen. However, I just listened to the live Van Hagar tracks done by The Circle at Your Service album. And how is it possible that Mike and Sam sound better at being Van Halen than the brothers? More proof that Sam rocks and that it was Ed that went pop. Listen to Best of Both Worlds on that release. It's the best Van Hagar has ever sounded, even if Sam had to ruin it with that slap-ass commentary. And Dave and Ed would regret taking Sammy's suggestion that The Circle open for Van Halen. Don't let the struts within 100 miles of you, 2019 David Lee Roth, that's for sure. All this got me wanting to hear one last Sam studio album and tour. And while I've got you, what didn't you tell me about Greta Van Fleet? Shannon the Dude. Well, Sam and Mike have a chemistry that's undeniable. In my opinion, Sam and Mike were the sound of Van Hagar. Their vocal blending was the signature sound, much like Ed's guitar in the years prior. They can still pull off all these songs live. It's obvious on the current tour. Sammy and Mike are capitalizing on that now while Ed sits home. As far as Greta Van Fleet, I don't know what you're referring to. Do you know what he's referring to, Dave?
Well, if he only found out about Greta Van Fleet recently, I would just say, man, I don't know where you've been, dude, because they've been all over the musical landscape for the last few months. So welcome to the party.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
But I hope you enjoy them, because I know they sound a lot like Led Zeppelin, but they rock.
They do. That's for sure. You have anything else to say about the Sam and Mike thing, Dave? Sounding better than the brothers doing the Van Hagar stuff?
I mean, the only thing I would say is, like, he was talking about David Lee Roth circa 1984.
Right.
I say, to really appreciate Dave, you really have to see the band in concert and not just hear the band in concert.
Right.
There's a reason why Dave is a really good frontman. And I do admit that by 1984, he was getting a little lazy with the lyrics and things like that. But if you want to hear Dave in his prime, you want to hear him like during like the first 4 tours, or even, of course, the 5th tour in South America. I mean, Dave brought it on. He brought it on. He could sing, he could lead, he could do all that stuff. So I'm never too quick to dismiss Dave. I mean, now I will say, recently he's had some vocal challenges. I won't deny that. But Van Halen in their prime, no way. Those guys were virtually untouchable.
That's true. And we are on to letter number 10 from Bog Frignano. He says, hey, big fan of the podcast and a huge Van Halen fan. I just felt compelled to comment on that mailbag segment about Eddie's health. Go back to the posted pic of him recently working on his bike with the 5150 license plate that he does not look right. I hope I'm wrong, but the second I saw that picture, I felt something was not right. Again, hopefully just a bad pic. Keep up the great work. Best, Bob Frignano. I'm sorry, Bob. Bob Frignano. Okay. Well,
I know you have trouble with those Italian names.
Well, I am Italian.
I know. Well, that's the ultimate irony now, isn't it?
I guess so. So, yes, we get what you're saying, and we agree the photo isn't a great one. However, it could be bad lighting. It could be a bad angle. We don't know. It's hard to judge anything by one photo. We hope that he's okay. We hope he's not ill by any means, but it does create some concern. What do you think, Dave?
You know, he's not the only one who was concerned about Ed in the picture, but I'm certainly not going to give a medical diagnosis just from one picture.
Right.
So who the heck knows?
I don't know. We'll have to see.
I don't know. I mean, it's just one picture.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm not. It's Ed business, not anyone else's. I hope he's okay, and we just want the guy to rock on. That's all.
That's right, yeah. We hope he's fine. And we are on to our last letter, Dave. We're moving like lightning. We're on letter number 11, and that comes from Robert Burton. And Robert says, hey, Dave and Dave, thanks for reading my letters on the last few shows. I have to say a little apology to Robert. I think his name got cut off, and we weren't able to identify him. So I'm sorry about that, Robert. He wanted to let us know that I don't think I've ever heard you guys mention the cool 1993 Bridge School benefit at the Shoreline Amphitheater where Eddie plays acoustic piano and a Parker Fly guitar. There's a video up on YouTube and it's really cool to see play whole tunes on the piano where they do Love Walks In and Right Now on piano, and there's also a Spanish Fly into Best of Both Worlds with Ed on an acoustic sounding Parker Fly. Separated, unrelated question. Most Van Halen fans are getting to the age where we have kids of our own. Have you fulfilled your fatherly duty of instilling a love of Van Halen in your children? In other words, brainwashing. I have. My 11-year-old daughter, Sammy, not named for Mr. Hagar, by the way, loves DLR era Van Halen. Her favorite tune is Little Guitars. What are your kids' favorite Van Halen songs? Well, Dave actually has a daughter named Sammy, which is nice. But I have to say, I took my oldest to go see Van Halen, Tommy, my oldest Tommy, he's 24, and he enjoyed it at the time. He really was amazed at Ed's playing, but he's not crazy about David Lee Roth or Sammy Hagar for that matter. He calls Sammy a hack, and he doesn't like Dave's style. He enjoys Alex's playing. He's a drummer, so he does love Alex's playing, and he feels he's an underrated drummer and incredibly talented, but he does complain that he thinks that Ed is super talented and that he has limited himself by just being in Van Halen. And he has a point there. His favorite tune, believe it or not, is a crazy choice. He loves Me Wise Magic, which is hysterical. He just loves the instrumentation on that song. In terms of the Bridge School benefit, I love that video, and I love that performance. That is a very rare Van Halen, almost like an unplugged in a way, of Sammy with Ed doing Right Now and that Spanish Fly with Best of Both Worlds and Love Walks In. That is tremendous. I urge anybody to check that out. What a special moment that was, and especially during a downtime when the band wasn't really doing anything at the time in 93. That was just a live album tour, I think. What do you make of those two issues, Dave?
The Bridge School benefit is definitely a treat. That was actually a Sammy solo appearance, and he got Ed to come along.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, you can find that on YouTube and also at Wolfgang's Vault because it was professionally recorded on video.
Right.
And you hear Ed playing some songs on piano that you normally don't hear. So yeah, that was a really nice touch. So I'm a big fan of that, and that has appeared on bootleg too over the years.
Right, that's true. You wanted to know about your kids. Have you indoctrinated your kids into listening to Van Halen?
Oh yeah, well totally. They have no choice. My oldest plays guitar, and Dave, you've heard him noodle around with Eruption before.
Yeah.
Right?